Hey there, Supermom. Do you feel like you're in a season where everything that could go wrong is going wrong? And are you maybe struggling a bit to stay positive or to keep going and get yourself out of this funk or keep from getting into a funk? Well, on today's episode of Supermom's Guide to, we're talking about developing that tenacity muscle. That thing that separates the successful people from the people that fall into victim mode and stay stuck in their circumstances. So I've got two different things that we're going to talk about today and how you can overcome these inevitable challenges in your life, plus a couple questions to ask yourself if you're feeling like you might be in this place right now. I want to tell you a quick story. So in the last couple weeks, everything in my world that could go wrong, it seems has gone wrong. Not too long ago, my car got struck by lightning and jacked up all the computer systems inside. Not super fun, just so you know. I had one of the biggest breakdowns of my adult life, and I've had some pretty big ones, y'all. So that was super fun. I have been working so hard that my body literally gave out on me and spazzed up, and my head was a mess, and I couldn't hardly move. My neck hurt so, and my head hurt so bad. And then in the last 2 days, I've had 2 rocks hit my windshield on top of it all. So it's just okay, I found myself in the car. That second rock hit my windshield on the way to work today. And I was looking at it oh my goodness, could one more thing go wrong? Now, because I'm a seasoned veteran of finding the perspective and the silver lining in things, I immediately heard myself go into that victim mentality. And I said, whoa. I switched on the gratitude. And I immediately found, the bunches and bunches of things that I have in my world to be grateful for. And immediately my mind shifted. All right, so then I went into that mode, how are we going to handle this and move forward? So I want to ask you today, when this stuff happens, are you falling into the victim mode? If you are, here are a couple questions you can ask yourself that might help you to get out of it a little quicker. So the first thing you need to do is to be aware that you're doing this, because if you don't know what you're doing, you can't change it, right? So when these hardships come up, pay attention and be mindful of what your mind and your thoughts are speaking over the situation. If it's in that negative connotation, nip it in the bud, as soon as you realize it. And the more you practice this, the more conscious of it you will be, and you can get it out of the way a lot quicker. So one thing I like to do is ask myself, what can I learn from this? Or what can I take away from this? If you can search for a lesson to be learned, you will either prevent it from happening again, or if it's something that you don't really have control over, like a rock hitting your windshield, you're going to be stronger and brush it off a lot more easily the next time it comes around. The second part is to really embrace it and use it as fuel to propel you forward. So I got ticked. I'm what the heck is going on that all this crap is happening around me? Not to me, because I think things just happen. Bad stuff doesn't happen to us. So I was no, you know what? Screw this. I don't care what comes my way. I am on a mission. And I am a firm believer that, God has always got my back, and devil, you can just back away. And whatever force, the spirit that you believe in, you can insert this here. But for real, I have a bigger mission than I have problems. Let me repeat that, and in a better way. My mission is way bigger and more important than my current problems. So why the heck am I going to let these little insignificant events, things that won't even matter 6 months from now, derail me from the mission that I am on. And that is the tenacity that I want you to have as you push through and move towards whatever your mission is in this world. Now we're gonna jump in and hear Danielle's story. She's got some amazing, amazing nuggets of wisdom and a very powerful testament of how persistence and tenacity really pay off, but they're not always easy in the moment. Before we do that, make sure you go to the link below and sign up to get Supermom's Guide to Mindset in your inbox every week, every Tuesday. Plus, you'll get first dibs on any flash sales or products or promotions that I might have going on at the moment. So make sure to check that out. But without further ado, let's jump in and listen to Danielle. This is Danielle with us today. She is a business coach and strategist. Is that how you title yourself?
I mean, I title myself as a dream client attraction specialist.
Ooh,
if I'm really going to get really deep into it.
That's way better. Forget what I said.
And a best-selling author, yeah.
Best-selling author. Awesome. We're super excited to have you on today, and really just want to open a conversation about entrepreneurship and the ups and downs, and especially as a mom and trying to manage a family on top of that. We just love to, first off, kind of hear a little bit about your story and how you got into the work that you do.
Yeah. Oh gosh. Okay. So let me see if I can give the short version of it.
There you go.
So I actually started my entrepreneurial journey way back in 2009. Two young daughters, a 2-year-old and a 1-year-old or 6-month-old. And I really wanted to bring in extra income. It just didn't make sense to go out and get a job because I'd end up paying almost all of it into daycare.
Sure. I think a lot of us struggle with that.
Yeah. So it's like, well, what do I do? I'm like, well, I really want to work from home, and I'm a really good project manager. I'm an awesome copywriter, and writer. So I started with that, and I reached out to people in local magazines, and they loved my background because I had a science background. So I wrote articles on science, and I wrote articles on being a mom, being a new mom in a new town because I just moved to Rhode Island. And then my husband surprised me, and he's like, hey, I really want to go to get my MBA from a top level school.
Okay.
And of course I'm like, sure, go for it. Thinking there's no way he's going to get in.
Yeah. Okay, honey. Yeah. No problem.
Sure. I'll support this dream. And you know what? That brilliant man, he got into one of the top 10 MBA programs in the country. So, and that was scary. It's just like, oh, okay. So it comes with a big price tag. So here we are, two people from northern Maine, where there's not a whole lot of opportunity, going to the big city of Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, to a huge MBA program. And it was scary. It was really scary. And he was the sole provider. I was just starting off on my entrepreneurial journey. I hadn't really built much of a business. And I was going to be supporting us, filling in those gaps between student loans, what we had left over, which wasn't a lot. And so I ran my business, and I got a part-time job. And it was a rough ride for 2 years. I'm not gonna lie, it was rough. It was tight. My car got repossessed for non-payment with my children's car seats in them, without a way to go get my daughter from preschool. So that was kind of like, oh gosh, what am I gonna do? That was a breaking point for me in my entrepreneurial journey. And the thought that went through my head is, never again am I going to let this happen. So because as a mom, you take that responsibility of the family, but there was also another piece of it as an entrepreneurial mom, just like, I can make this work.
It just appeals to like all those deep-rooted fears that come up, right?
Oh yeah, that definitely triggered me in more ways than one. Like I still almost cry when I think about that moment and how devastating it was as a mom, because not only did our only source of transportation get towed away, because I wasn't making enough money to support my family, and my husband in grad school when he was trying to support us and furthering his education, but it was also just like, how am I gonna go get my 3-year-old, she was now 3, at preschool?
Yeah, the simplest of things at that point. So how do you push past that? What had to happen for you to be kind of all in at that point? Or was that your turning point?
That was kind of a turning point where I'm like, okay, I'm always going to be working my business. So I'm never not going to be. And I did get pregnant with my 3rd daughter. I have 3 daughters. Into my husband was just graduating. So I did take a little breather because I was really tired with my 3rd pregnancy, chasing 2 young girls around. That 3rd one's like, okay, well, I said, I just can't run it like I used to. But I did start it back up very quickly. I think my youngest was 2 months old, and I was working and doing writing and building it up. And then eventually I got into digital marketing alongside copywriting, and online production really is what it was. It was part of digital marketing, but we were helping people produce online events. I was a contractor for a company, and then then the inevitable, or no, it's not inevitable, but something shifted again. And I'm not sure if you can see me.
I can see
my husband had a really wonderful, cushy job that was paying all the bills, and everything I was bringing in was extra. And his organization got it got reorganized, and he was the 2nd round of layoffs. So it was a shock, and so yes, the car, and then that 2nd round of shock, and just like, oh my gosh, what are we going to do? Because we had this huge pile of student loans to pay on top of everything else. So this is what I did, is that I really said, okay, I can do this. I don't have a choice. I have to do this, because he didn't get much of a not a stipend, but a severance. He got 2 weeks severance. Yeah, he had 2 weeks to cover our bills. So I had 2 weeks to get my butt in gear. So I decided to expand my copywriting company into a digital marketing company, virtual assistant type company. And I went and filled my calendar for the next 4 months in 4 days.
Oh, wow.
In 4 days. I reached out to everybody.
Do, right?
Yeah, that was some pretty good motivation. That was really good motivation. And I did, and we got through that. He got a new job and here in Charlotte, North Carolina. And we moved because we were in Chicago. So then we moved down here because we just always wanted to move south because we were tired of being in the snow. I know, Charlotte is awesome. I love it. I love it here. I keep saying that every time I go. I'm like, I love it here. So he got a job, but it was a pay cut. So I kept my business running, and I'm just like, well, this feels really good to have 2 paychecks coming in. And eventually I got burnt out. Implementation and copywriting, it got me burnt out. I still run that company a little bit, but I really focus now on coaching. But I did go through some changes where I'm like, okay, I feel like I'm trading time for money, and I'm not sure how much of my time I'm willing to give for money that I feel, for money.
That's a good one.
So it was that was a nice mindset shift for me, is that, okay, I'm in this time money trap. And I miss my children, and they're small, and yes, I know how important it is to keep the business going. So what can I do? And what came to me is like, it's time for you to step out as a coach and a consultant, because all the ins and outs of online business development. So let's start coaching in it. And I started in, I'd say, the end of December. So I built very quickly as a coach, consultant, and brought it to 5-figure months, and just 5-figure months almost. It felt almost instantly, but consistent 5-figure months started happening after 3 months of coaching and consulting.
Wow. That's really It's a lot more accelerated than most people. What would you say is like the number one thing that allowed you to do that?
Yeah, that's a really good question. So I'd say the number one thing is that I produced and hosted my own online summit first. I
Okay.
spent the time
Mm-hmm.
to put that together. So I had a list coming out as a coach. I had a list to actually sell to.
Mm-hmm.
So that made it much easier. And it was a big list. It was a big list to sell to. So having that at my, rate there that I could sell to, and I'm a copywriter, so email marketing is no problem for me. And just so that was a big piece of it, and kind of the mindset that, yeah, I'm the person for these people. I attracted my ideal clients. I really dug in deep to who they are, what their pain points were. Like, I really think that's a big piece of what a lot of entrepreneurs are missing, is that they're not willing to dig in deep to their ideal clients, which there's a bigger metaphor for that too,
Yes.
that I can share later.
Well, we don't have to go all the way to the root here. But yeah,
Yeah.
so what do you think, or I'll say this, as a coach and as a seasoned professional in this arena, obviously
Yeah.
you were able to scale your business to, on a pretty exponential kind of growth here because of your past relationships and the ones that you had developed. Would you recommend maybe if someone's just trying to start out, maybe, jumping right into something that might be new, or if they've got a particular skill or talent or a job that maybe they've been doing, maybe start out with that consulting arena. Is that a path that you would recommend to like a new client per se?
Yeah, so this is what I tell people when we're because clarity is a big part. This is a mindset coach, that clarity is like the key to really getting going. So what I like to walk people through is just like, okay, let's talk about your education, your experiences, and see, and let's write a list out with that. And a lot of times people write those out, and we're just scratching the surface with that. I'm like, okay, so let's really think about a time where you felt the pain. You felt some kind of a pain, something that really shifted your trajectory. You stopped there at that fork in the road, and you were on your knees, and you decided which way to go based on that, because that's an experience that people want to hear. And based on how you came out of it, that would be something to consider for a job too. Let me see if I can give a really good, well, I'll use myself. So for me,
I was gonna say, so for me, you just shared right here. That was like your come to Jesus kind of moment. And it really gives you that kick in the butt.
Yeah, exactly. When I share that, when you share that story, people are like, oh my gosh, I went through something so similar. How did you get through it?
Yeah, I know for me personally, like, people don't believe me. I'm like, what, one, I've always had this drive, but my business didn't start off pretty. I didn't have that network like you did when I started and jumped into coaching. And so it was a challenge. And it's one of those things that, your why. Oh, one of my good friends, Jamie Lee, she told me this, she said, your why's got to make you cry. It's got to touch that emotion, so close to home. And for me, it was, I had to get my butt in gear. I am a single mom. So it was all on me. And we were facing, I couldn't pay the bills. We were facing homelessness if it didn't happen. And so it was like, okay, this, when you go to the grocery store and you don't have the money to pay for the food that you bought and you have to put things back, that's embarrassing, especially as, a strong woman, a woman who, I'm educated. I've got plenty of experience. I was always, and at first my family and stuff would be like, why don't you just go get a job? And it was like, well, I feel this in my heart, and you have to trust that. And I think that's really one of the differences between people that are willing to be an entrepreneur through the ups and downs and that sort of tenacity that it takes. It's the sacrifice that it takes. Like you said, you were trying to get your business off the ground. Your husband was going through school, and even just, the long-term gain is more powerful than the short-term discomfort. And
Yeah.
using those like experiences that show up along the way really can
Mm-hmm.
help propel you forward.
Yeah. And I think that people, I like to say this. I think people trust someone who's gone through the dark stuff. You know, they trust that and they see you've come out of it.
Mm-hmm.
Because for me personally, let's just say I'm looking to hire a life coach and I've gone through something horrible, like God, and you know, knock on wood, this never happens, but like my husband died or something,
Sure.
and I'm a single mom or a widowed mom of 3 girls, and I really am down in the dumps and depressed, and I'm like, okay, maybe it's time for me to hire a life coach. I'm not going to hire the cheapest person, and I'm certainly not going to hire someone who hasn't actually gone through a similar life experience.
Mm-hmm.
So when I'm looking for a life coach, I want to know somebody who's gone through that special flavor of muck that I'm in right now.
That person can help me, and that's what you want.
That person can help me.
That person
Yes.
can help me. And
Yeah.
that's the part that I think so many entrepreneurs, when we're starting out, forget. You're so focused on your side of it. You've got to look at it, as difficult as it might be, from your potential client's side. What
Exactly.
are they looking for in that moment? You know, if that was you, put yourself in their shoes. What were you looking for? Who would you have been like, oh my gosh, thank you. Yeah, I will happily pay you for whatever you've got if you can help me fix this. And that, I think if you can get to the root like that in your, you know, doing in your story, that's so, so powerful. And that really separates the people that are, you know, floundering online and the ones that are genuinely able to help people.
Yeah. And it's kind of like this idea of like, are you going to just scratch the surface in your business? Or are you going to dig in deep? And that's why I said the larger metaphor really is for you to dig down deep into yourself and to work on yourself and get through, you know, from dark to light. And then showing up as that teacher, as that source of comfort and trust for your dream clients who, you know, your dream clients, whenever we do an ideal client profile, we are really thinking about this person absolutely needs me.
Sure.
You know, their feelings, you know, their pain points. And if they're your ideal client, then you're the only one that can get through to, not get to them, but get through to them on a way that is much more connected than what we sometimes think of, just like rah, 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 push, 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 get it done. There's something more. There's a connection piece to it where there's a trust. There's a trust between you and your clients, and there's also a forward movement that's not just business development, because we can all find information that we need to create, like freebie offers, sales funnels. That's out there. But what are you going to do as a coach and as a consultant to ignite that fire within them so that they are willing to move forward, so they are willing to be dedicated?
It's not just about throwing information at people. I love that. That's powerful. So in those times, we're going to switch just a little bit. So in those times where you are just like really having to hustle in your business, and you know, life just gets crazy, because it does for all of us as you're juggling in work and family and any other responsibilities you might have, a relationship, things like that. How do you keep yourself kind of grounded and from burning out?
Yeah, well, I'm going to be super authentic, is that I get burnout. I do. I get tired. In fact, I'm probably going through a moment where I'm just coming out of a little burnout because I've been hustling. And it's summer vacay, right?
Relax. We're doing a relax challenge in my Facebook group for this month, because everybody is like, I'm about to lose my mind right now.
Yeah. I mean, we went back to home to Maine to visit family, and I took my computer and did my business with me. It was pretty crazy. Pretty crazy. And by the time I got back, like the last week of June, beginning of July, I was tired because my husband was here in Charlotte working, and I was in northern Maine, and everybody, our whole family's in Maine, and they're all spread out. So, and Maine's a pretty big state.
A lot of traveling.
There's a lot of driving. So I was pretty burnout. So what I did is I hired some help. I built my team out more. I brought in 2 new people, and I trusted that I could delegate, and I did it in a way where I spread out who was coming in. So
Mm-hmm.
on those moments where you're close to burnout, there's a couple things you can do. You can be totally present with it. First, acknowledging it is the
Sure.
biggest part. Like, oh gosh, I'm totally burnt out. And there's some signs that come up with my burnout, like I want to cry.
All the time.
My throat hurts, like my throat gets scratchy. I start getting a little sick, and like I'm just really not finding the joy in the things that I usually find joy in. It's not
Sure.
quite depression, but I'm just not feeling joyful. And that's a really good sign that, okay, Danielle, you've been pushing yourself really hard.
Yep.
It's time to kind of take a step back, acknowledge that you're burnt out, and then go to a place of solution. How do you do this? And for me, it's like, well, I really want to enjoy the summer as much as I can with my kids. So what do I do with my business? My business is growing. And I had this other feeling of, oh gosh, I can't slow down now. It's freaking out. I can't do that.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like, okay, I'm going to invest in the business, and I'm going to hire the right people, and I'm going to do it in a way where I'm not going to hire 2 people at once and train both of them. So I hired one person.
It's even more work at that point.
Oh my gosh, it's crazy. People are like, oh, we need a team. Let's hire 5 people. I really recommend not doing that. That is a way to crash and burn. But, bring in people and then take your time too. There's always, yes, as much as you need to delegate, it's still important to bring in the right people and train them with how you want to do. And we've had some hiccups, of course, bringing in new team members, helping with social media, posting in groups that you can't promote in, and getting those, and it's just like, really sorry guys. And it's all okay. Yeah. And it's all okay for me because I've done the inner work, because I know who I am, and I know my intentions. Like, I know my intention is really to serve as best as I can, as best as possible to the people I meet. And there's never this intention to just take. That's not who I am. So
those little,
I guess,
stumbles along the way are okay.
Yeah.
Exactly. the failures, the mistakes, the things, like, if you can approach them as learning experiences, you don't have to beat yourself up about them.
Exactly.
We're all going to screw up sometimes. It's part of learning it.
Even the people who've been in technology, like me,
still screw up sometimes.
Technology messes up and flakes out on me all the time. Yeah. And everyone's like, really? Technology's not working for the techie person? For the person who's in tech all the time? Like, it screws up for me too, guys. And
I laugh for the mindset stuff. They're like, what? And I'm like, yeah, no, I have my moments where I have to sit back and do my own mindset stuff. The same stuff I teach you guys.
Exactly.
Like, I practice it too. It doesn't mean I'm immune to being a human. Like, some people think that you're this perfect entity. I'm like, you might not see all the ups and downs, but trust me, they're all there.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. And I think it's awesome that you share that, because I don't know about you, but I really don't want someone to say I'm perfect, and I don't want to work with someone who's like, I'm perfect. I never have to do anything.
They're perfect. You either haven't lived or you're a liar. Yeah. I don't want to work with one of those people. Like, I was, it's like that guru person that shows up and you're like, run the other way, y'all. Run.
Oh, you just threw in a y'all. I love it. I'm trying to get my southern twang in here.
I'm a Charlotte native, so the y'alls just come freely.
I love it.
Stay down here long enough, we'll get you. Your accent going, your slang here.
Well, it's gonna be part Canadian, because I lived right on the Canadian border, and part Southern Belle. Mm-hmm. So, hey, I'll get your all and your A's in there.
I get Greek thrown in there. I lived overseas for a couple of years and was around like the whole Greek community. So it was like, I'll get like the Southern, and then I'll get really mad and get this Greek attitude thrown in there. What just happened? I don't really know. It's just me. So Do you think after sort of all the struggles and the ups and downs that we've discussed today, like, do you think anyone can be an entrepreneur? It's become this
Yeah.
trendy thing, especially in the female world and even in the
Yeah.
mom world. You know, everybody's wanting to be in a direct sales company or start their
Mm-hmm.
own consulting business.
Yeah.
And maybe they don't know anything about it. Like, should everybody be an entrepreneur?
Yeah. Well, and I don't like to use the should word, like you should do this. You know, part of me is like so stubborn, like don't tell me what to do whenever I hear the should
Yeah.
word. So when I tell people, I encourage you, if you are really looking for something in your life, I encourage you to first look inwards and what's really going on.
Yeah.
And figuring out that piece. And it's not something that your logical brain can come up with an answer for. I mean, as much as I'm a biz coach and I do tech, it's very left brain logic centered. There's also another piece of it that I cannot purely explain with logic.
Sure.
So really, and that comes with the feelings, like how you're feeling, really tuning into your body. Are you feeling stressed? Are you feeling knots in your stomach? Okay, where are those coming from? And putting a name to that feeling in your body with an emotion. So sadness, scared, fear, you know, where does that come from? Where does that stem from? And I know we're going really deep into this with a pretty deep conversation on entrepreneurship.
But I think it's valuable, that transparency, that piece that everybody talks about the shiny part on top, but you don't hear about all the underlying challenges that it can present. It's an amazing gift to do it, but it's not an easiest one.
It's not. Yeah, I would not say that the inner work is easy by any means. In fact, it's been probably the most transformational piece for me in entrepreneurship. But I know that this is how I've worked. I know that this is part of how I've worked so quickly in becoming a coach and consultant and someone that people trust and want to work with. So I really do feel like it's important to tune in right now. Now, what is it that you're looking for? You know, and first tuning in, and it's like, is it self-acceptance? Is it self-worth? And how do you want to bring that out into the world? I really believe that we all are meant to be here to showcase who we truly are. Yeah. Like really deep down. And however that shows up for you, maybe that is being an entrepreneur. Maybe that is being the best mom ever. You know, and it's not even like showing everyone else that you're the best mom. Maybe it's just showing up for your kids.
Yeah, absolutely.
And creating a wonderful relationship and facilitation too with children so that they end up being the leaders that they're meant to be or the people that they're meant to be. And there's just so many different ways to approach that, but I do think it does start within. I think that anyone who really truly wants to be an entrepreneur can be an entrepreneur.
Absolutely.
I think it's just important for you to, I think it's important for people to be who they really are and to not worry so much about what society says, what's trendy, what those old belief patterns, those things that we grew up believing about ourselves, is that really yours to hold on to? You get to choose. That's the other thing. Isn't it so wonderful? You get to choose.
Like, if you don't like where you're at, you have the power to change it.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And that does taking some digging in and some empowerment for yourself, some self-empowerment. So if you're really like, oh my gosh, I really love being a mom. I love being a mom. I love being with my children. Then, hey, that's
enhance that.
Yeah.
I think that's the coolest thing about what I get to do is working with and seeing that light bulb moment where someone realizes if you're miserable where you're at, like you have the power to change that. And really quickly, if you're willing to be open and honest with yourself. Like I don't teach anybody, not really. I'll teach them tools that they maybe don't know, but I just ask questions. Like you've got everything you need inside of you if you're willing to dig it out.
Yeah, beautiful. And it's a wonderful gift too. I know everyone's like, depression's a gift. Being sad's a gift.
It doesn't feel like a gift when I'm in my dark hole. I deal with that one too.
Yeah. I mean, I know everyone's like, you're freaking crazy when you say that. I'm like, I always look at things like, okay, here's a gift for me.
Yep.
Because otherwise I wouldn't even know that anything's wrong. I'm actually acknowledging a feeling. I know I feel it. I can't help it. There's no getting away from it. So when you're at that point, it's a wonderful gift because you get to kind of decide where you want to move.
I agree.
After that.
The low places, those brick walls that you hit, like that's where transformation happens. When you've gotten nowhere else to go but up. You know, how many times have you heard those stories?
Yeah.
And it's like, I hate telling these stories, but you need to hear it, because when you're in that place, you'll forget all the stories you've heard until that voice enters that path that you need to hear in that moment. And that's sort of that divine kind of timing stuff, that it's just that faith part that you've got to believe.
Yeah. Oh gosh, I love that. I love that saying too, with the brick wall. And a lot of times for entrepreneurs that I work with, it's, you know, what I find is that it's the fear of the unknown. So we've got this huge wall. Okay, let's create a door, or let's create a ladder so you can get up over it. But it's not the wall.
You don't have to knock down the wall.
You don't know
how to get past it.
Well, it's not even the wall that scares them, because like I know people get up to that wall like, oh my gosh, another block. And, you know, they work themselves up for this. Really what I've found is what's on the other side of the wall, and the unknown, that is the fear. So what you're saying is to kind of have that faith, you know, to move forward or to move past the block. That takes a lot of digging.
The biggest and like the most common that I find with my clients as well. Like it has been proven the scariest thing to a human is the unknown.
Yeah.
Period. Whatever that unknown is. That's our brains. It's a, you know, the way our brains work.
Yeah.
It's the scariest thing. So if you can identify what that unknown is and really find the root and break it down, or, you know, let yourself go to that worst case scenario. We'll do that kind of little exercise.
Yeah.
It's super powerful, because it's like, well, what's the worst that happens? And you really get to the root of that.
Yeah.
Well, now you know. Is that so scary? Not the end of the world. And then you're able to get past it and move on, you know?
Beautiful. It's so funny that you said that, because my husband made a really good comment about that last night. And he's like, well, it's like our lizard brains. Like back when our ancestors, they heard a rustling in the bushes, and like, well, don't go near that bush. You don't know what's there. It could be a lion that would eat you. So, I mean,
it might be a bunny rabbit that will feed you. Who knows?
Yeah, exactly. So funny. I love that you talked to that.
Well, cool. So how can our viewers here get in touch with you if they're interested in working together, or just a little bit more about what you offer?
Yeah, well, okay, so I've got a couple different things. So you can go to my website, DanielleFitzpatrickClark.com. It's very beautifully done. It looks like a unicorn. Threw up on it. I know, I love it. I'm like, oh my gosh, I love these colors. And there's like a nice little contact button that comes right up on the homepage. And I guess if you guys want a freebie from me, I have a beautiful ideal client profile builder, which will really help you guys dig in deep to who your dream clients are and getting in their shoes, and going right there, digging in deep. And I know that for my clients, when they actually go through this process, it's amazing how it opens up and shifts their perspective on, oh my gosh, I didn't even realize that. You know, I can just attract these ideal clients by knowing and recognizing who they are. So that's on my website, DanielleFitzpatrickClark.com/ideal-client-profile.
And we'll put some of those in we'll send the links in this too, so that everybody can find it pretty easy. And one last thing before we go that I'd like to ask everyone is, what is your superpower?
My superpower, oh gosh, I had to pick one.
Just one today.
Just one today. Okay, so I would say that my superpower is connecting with people on a deep level.
That's awesome. I like that one a lot. Because that's like everything else is better when you can just connect with other people.
Yeah. Yep. There's a trust factor there. I think it's because I'm friendly.
It's a good quality to have.
Maybe that's my superpower. I'm just super friendly.
Awesome. Thank you so much for being on here. I am just really grateful that you took some time out of your day to just share your story and share some life and some of your struggles into the women that are meant to hear it. So thank you so much.
My pleasure. Thanks so much for having me on. I really appreciate it, Jen.
I don't know about you, but I had so many nuggets of wisdom from this amazing, amazing lady. And her superpower of connection. Hello, we love that. That's what searching for superpower is all about, is connecting us. We are so much stronger as a team than we are individually. So just to recap what we talked about today, we're developing that tenacity muscle so that when life's challenges come at you, which they inevitably will, you will be ready and prepared with your mindset to push forward and to not get derailed from your mission. So the first thing was to be super aware of the fact that you're going to this victim mentality. And once you get there, figure out how to change it. Ask yourself, what can I learn? Or what lesson do I need to, how can I use this to move forward? And then the second part was to just use it as fire. Get ticked off in the best possible way and realize that nothing can stop you when your mission and your purpose is powerful enough. I love you all, ladies. And remember, this tenacity muscle takes some time to develop. And of course, coaching can accelerate the process. So the Power class is open for fall session registration right now through the end of August. Class will start on September 7th, and we're really going to dig into who you are, what you want, and get those mindset muscles trained and ready so that you can go do whatever it is you feel called to do in this next season of your life. I hope I'll see you in there. But today, I just wanted to say that you are powerful, you are amazing. Share your gift to the world on your own terms, whatever that might look like. And just keep practicing that muscle to thrive and to move forward. I love you all. Can't wait to see you next Tuesday on the Supermom's Guide to Mindset. Take care.